Hi and welcome back. It's been about 3 months since Bungie announced that they would be ending service for Destiny 2. Since then, the community has banded together, made a hashtag go viral. Not only that, but they have also made a community hub website. They have managed to dig into the code and unsunset old content, making it playable once more, and they've started a project to port Destiny 1 to PC. The first of these projects I noticed was the Destiny 2 Community Hub. The Community Hub is essentially exactly what it says on the tin. It's a hub for the Destiny 2 community. It includes This Week in Destiny, where it goes over a bunch of different news for the game, including Project Sunrise, which we'll get to later. But they also have these challenges, where they will track your progress and then you can earn different things like different emblems for the website. It's a cool little thing to give the game some new life. And I genuinely think it is insane that this exists. It came out not long after the shutdown notice, and quite frankly, the team behind it is fairly small but is consistent of a bunch of community members, some of which I have seen pop up around the place when I'm on Twitter or other places. It's really cool to see that the community sort of kept together, and when I noticed this the first time, I was impressed, but I wasn't prepared for what was to come. But quite frankly, I think it is insanely cool. They have even held their own version of Solstice of Heroes Legends, which you can find right here on the director page called Solstice of Legends. And here you had like a bunch of small things that you could complete, and doing so would like complete the event. It's a nice little thing where it gives you some community directive without necessarily being like in game, as obviously they can't develop the game. But like again, I think it's kind of cute. They have a bunch of cool stuff here you can earn for like your profile banner and emblems and stuff. I really like this. This to me is peak. It keeps the community together and keeps the game alive, even if the developers have left it. And I think, genuinely speaking, the fact that this came out so fast after the actual end of service notice was just quite insane. I fucking love this, and to the people behind it, insane work, man. Just insane work. And of course, they even have like more events here, like the Dawning, Crimson Days, Revelry, Guardian games. Like, they have a bunch of all of this stuff that just doesn't exist in the game and won't be existing in the game anymore, that they're planning to do something with. And honestly, I am interested, I have to say. While the community hub is cool, the next thing we're going to be talking about is completely insane. And I really do mean it in all its meaning. It is insane. But to understand that, you need to understand what content sunsetting is. The TLDR is that it just means that the developers would take out old content from the game and make it completely inaccessible, to then reintroduce it later. Now, that later often never came, but that was the idea. So Project Sunrise is exactly the opposite. It is a community-run project that aims to restore pieces of Destiny that have been, well, destroyed. And quite frankly, they have succeeded almost completely. I have no idea how they did it, but they have made all the missions from the very first campaign of Destiny completely playable. There is the downside that there is no enemy AI and you can't trigger dialogue in the open build yet, but I have seen them getting old missions to fully work with like dialogue and stuff, which is, it's insane. How the fuck do you even do that? Like, what? It is essentially like running a locally hosted private instance of Destiny that houses all the cut content, all the content that was removed, so to speak. And it is fucking nuts. And while there is some limitations towards what you can and cannot do right now in the open build, as an example in the version that I'm playing, you can't find new loot or swap weapons or anything like that without finding their codes and stuff that you have to like type in manually. But you can go to every destination that has ever existed. You can go out and explore Mercury or Mars or Io that was all taken away from us in the live build. You can't see those anymore if you come into the game as it is now, but you can in the Sunrise build, which is really fucking cool from a preservation standpoint. I think this is so cool. But not only that, if it was just that, I would still be really impressed, but it is not just that. In Project Sunrise, you can also load into old raids, including Spire of Stars and Leviathan and Eater of Worlds, and of course the full Crown of Sorrows. And while they don't exactly work yet, no enemies are spawning, there are people who are working on making that, well, happen, on making that work. We already got an entity spawner now, which is a development that has happened within the last week, including that they have gotten dialogue to work in some of the instances, with I think the first mission on Mercury being one of them, which is completely insane. This is all cut content that doesn't exist anymore, that they have taken from the Bungie vault, Robin Hooded their asses, and like brought it back into the live game. That's crazy. And all the background footage you have been seeing is of Project Sunrise, that's why there is no enemies. But they have included options for you to no-clip through the map, so you can explore more and go through areas that would otherwise be closed off. I've gotten to see destinations I haven't seen for over 6 years. Places I haven't been able to play in for over 6 years I have gotten to visit from a community project. To me, that is wild. That is probably one of the most insane things I've ever seen, and nobody outside of the Destiny 2 sphere seems to be talking about it, which I think is weird, because this is so significant for like games preservation as a whole that it's insane not to see people like talk about it. Imagine if you could bring old content from, I don't know, Fortnite back, Season 1 shit, without the developers like giving you the go-ahead to just experiment with. That's fucking nuts. How? And of course it includes my favorite areas. I've always thought that the entrance to the final encounter of Eater of Worlds is one of the coolest in the game. If you haven't played it, essentially you'd enter a big cannon and then be shot out, and to spawn the secret chest you had to go through rings that were in the sky. You had to like fall through them, which would then spawn a secret chest and give you an extra piece of loot. That entire thing was removed as well. And even though they've brought back the final encounter, that entire entrance is gone, unfortunately. But with Project Sunrise, there's a very real chance that one day I can get to experience that again. I really cannot underestimate how fucking insane this is. Like, this sort of thing is something I never dreamt of happening. Not even in my wildest dreams that I think the Destiny 2 community would go in and bring back old builds of the game. Builds that Bungie themselves have not been able to find. That is the wildest thing in the world to me. And having a look around the destinations, they are genuinely pretty cool and mostly still hold up to this day. I really genuinely wish all of them were still in the game, including IO, even though it's barren as shit. So the last thing I do want to talk about in this video is really the Destiny 1 PC port. A community member, Courtney G on Twitter, has posted a little bit from the emulator work he's been doing trying to get Destiny 1 up and running, and as you can see, he's loaded into the tower, has some items going, the quests are there, and here he's doing like the character creator, and of course there are some visual bugs and stuff, but it is an interesting idea that this might not be entirely off. I think it is cool to see people working on it, and while they're just screenshots, and ultimately why I don't want to spend all too much time on this, I still think it is super cool that it exists, and that maybe someday in the not too far future this might be in our hands. Ultimately I wish I could talk more about it, but as of now I really can't. But it is cool that it exists, and I do think it's worth showing off, because it is one of those things where this might also be a path for the Destiny community, a sort of place to congregate in the future. So where does that leave us? Well, really, it leaves us with 3 paths forward in terms of community-run Destiny projects. There is, of course, the Community Hub, which I think is the safest bet in the sense that it definitely won't be taken down, it is pretty safe, it exists within the current build of the game, all of that. Then there is Project Sunrise, something that I have spent a good amount of this video, if not more than half of it, talking about, which is ultimately, unfortunately, a little bit uncertain, mainly due to the fact that Sony does have lawyers and they could in theory go after Project Sunrise, and while they haven't done it yet, I am scared that it would be a thing that could happen in the future. But I do find the idea of a community-run Destiny really fucking interesting. Like, the idea that we could make community content and that we could play older content really would be cool, have a sort of ultimate version of Destiny. And then lastly, we have the Destiny 1 emulator PC port. Unfortunately, this is not in our hands. I don't know anything about how that works at all, and I'm not claiming that I do. I do, however, think it's a cool project, and really, at the end of the day, if we can get a PC port of Destiny 1, that would at least carry, I think, Destiny ahead for a good bit into the future for a lot of PC players who would immediately jump over for that crisp 60 FPS and better texture quality or whatever that we can do with the emulators. It's just interesting that the community has already worked on so many different avenues to keep the game alive. I think if nothing else, it really does show that Destiny is a beloved game by the people who play it. And while I'm not smart enough to do any of what these people have been doing, I can at the very least bring it to your attention because I think that we are in an age where, because of AI, because how accessible coding really is, that there is a good chance that we will see these sort of things happen more often, where a game gets shut down or there's an end of service notice and people start to take its future into their own hands. I've talked about a few games that have been shutting down lately or that will be shutting down, including games like New World, and ultimately I would hope that eventually this could be something that could work for New World. I would love that. At the end of the day, though, I think for me, Destiny does it really personally. And while this isn't a big video that I'm still working on for Destiny, this is sort of just an update on all of the things that have been happening. It's just so wild to see. It's not even been 2 months, man. There are games that have been dead for over a decade, they don't even have a private server yet. And it took the Destiny community 2 months to get one. Fucking wild stuff, dude. Wild, wild stuff. Anyway, that's been it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And I'll see you all in the next one.